Hey everyone, we're going to do another crappie jig today. In the vise we have a 1/16 ounce minnow head. The color is what I call greenback, which is just silver and it's got candy green back. Real simple, easy deal. And I call this crappie jig my greenback ducktail crappie jig because we're going to use mallard flank for the tail. A couple months ago, I did one, a snow angel, and we used mallard flank for a big collar that came out. Uh, this one's going to be different as the mallard flank is going to be used for the tail. So we're going to get started here with some black 140 denier flat wax nylon thread, and we'll get our base started. Trim our extra thread off there. I'm going to wrap it all the way down to the point of the hook. And we're going to come back up. And what we're going to use, this is natural mallard flank. This is hairline dubbing. This is what you get. And what I like to do with this, it makes great tailing material for these little crappie jigs. I know guys that used them on floating flies for a long time. That's how the old style of floating fly was done. I do use them for floating flies, but I use them more as a lateral feather, more for the profile rather than a tail. And what you do to make these tails is this wispier stuff I strip off. But I take the longest ones out of there and I will strip them off of the stem. And again, I take the longest ones, I line it up that we're about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half beyond the bend of the hook. And I already ripped some off. Another one that I have enough in here to make a tail. Because that's all you're doing. You're just taking it off at the stem and putting them together. Let's see where we're at. We'll trim it off. Yeah, you'll get a good bit of those long ones in a pack, and the mallard flank feathers aren't expensive, so they're like $3 for a pack of those. So it's you can get a bunch of crappie jigs out of one pack, and then the smaller ones you could use for floating flies. So I'm going to work this, and this is the hardest part of these, is getting it that the tail is even all the way around. That looks pretty good. I'm going to hold it in place to keep it from turning. I'm going to cinch it down pretty good. And again, I'm going to work it back up. This isn't slick like bucktail, so the thread's going to hold really well. But I bring the thread all the way back up because we're going to put our flash in, and I'm going to tie the flash in up high. And what we're going to use for flash on this is green pearl polar flash. I originally tied this pattern up using olive pearl crystal flash, but I really like this polar flash because I can add more of it and it doesn't overpower the jig. A couple wraps in, I'm going to fold it over. and we want this the length of our tail. If it goes a little bit beyond, no big deal. It actually helps because, believe it or not, this polar flash actually has some pretty sweet movement in the water on its own. It's not, you would think it was stiff with the way it feels, but it actually moves fairly well. Get a wrap or two to hold it on here, and we'll fold it over on this side. And this is, again, this is 3 strands, so I'm getting 6 strands on each side. I'm getting 12 strands of this polar flash, but it's kind of subtle, and you could probably add 4 strands on each side and it wouldn't overpower it. Really like it. So our flash is in, our tail's in. The last point that we're going to do with this is olive pearl chenille, medium sized. If you can't find the pearl chenille, cactus chenille works just as well. I mean, they're very similar. I'm doing a bunch of these for a friend of mine, and I'm in them, so that's why I'm doing the Crappie videos, because I know these patterns I haven't put on here, and these are, like I said, very simple. It's nothing fancy or anything. It's just color patterns that work really well in my area. And I figured I'd put this one on here because of the different tailing material. And as always with cactus chenille or pearl chenille, I always try to brush the fibers back. That's it. We got it trapped. Trim it off. Make a couple of wraps, and we're going to whip finish it. And you'll notice I'm not putting head cement. I stopped doing that. I haven't had any issues with any of these coming apart, and they don't last long enough that really merits it, so I stopped using the head cement on my crappie jigs. You can, it doesn't hurt. And I'll show you what we have here. Let me get my clamp. And there it is. That is the G-back ducktail crappie jig. Simple pattern to tie. Pretty effective. In my water, it's really good. This tail, again, is more about looking like a fish tail. It doesn't have a ton of action to it, but it does look good. You'll see it in the water. I will do a tank test, and I'll include these crappie jigs that we did. There it is. A little bit of olive pearl chenille, simple pattern, simple paint job, and you get yourself a real effective crappie jig. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.